Hi there, I'm Molly.
And I'm Jaymie, and this is our From the Pasture with Hired Hand podcast.
For 15 years now, we've been proudly helping breeders promote hundreds of thousands of pedigree livestock with our easy-to-use animal management-driven website software.
And let's not forget about Hired Hand Live, where over $1 million worth of livestock is sold online each year.
We're excited to bring you market trends, sales data, advice from your fellow breeders, and stories from the ranch.
Our software makes managing your website and your animals a breeze, so you can focus on what you love.
So let us handle your digital chores while you tune in to another episode of From the Pasture with Hired Hand.
Well, hi, Justin. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. For those people who may not see you running around at sales or know who you are, can you give a little rundown of who you are and then the history of maybe your family within Longhorns as well?
Again, I'm Justin Rombeck. I started Longhorn Opportunities in about 2001. Prior to that, my folks and I had started JBR Longhorns. I needed an FFA project, and it was one of those deals that, Longhorns are different and weird, and, everybody said you're not going to be successful. In today's world, that's the accumulation of hold my beer. So I took that as a challenge and decided to run with it and made a career out of it. Currently running about 35 different customers across the country, helping them making breeding and marketing decisions, doing photography for their websites. We also work with Gary Davis, and he helps us do designs and catalog and various other things. My wife and I, we've been married now for 14 years, and we started Bar Our Cattle Company. And 6 years ago, we started the Legend Sale. Been helping ranches for quite some time develop, production sales, reduction sale, dispersal sales, but helping the individuals tell their stories and market their animals to the public, and making sure that they understand, what's in front of them. We try to typically organize our catalogs by families so people can see the consistency that, what these animals have to offer, as well as, the crosses that allow them to show their best potential.
So we've talked about the other sales, the Legend Sale and that kind of stuff that you're involved with. And this sale that you're having this weekend is the Heritage Sale. Can you talk about why you decided to have the Heritage Sale?
The Heritage Sale, we are planning on this becoming an annual event. It was an opportunity with the 5 different consignors we had. They wanted to showcase, what their genetics were, what they had to offer. The word heritage itself, speaking from our past and helping us move forward. These genetics run extremely deep within the programs, but we also pull from other top end programs that you can trace all these animals back to legendary breeders back through the 70s and even 60s. Betty Lamb, Jody Hoffman, Blackie Graves, Bob Loomis. There's Jimmy Jones influence. There's a lot of really cool things. Even though we only have 5 consignors here, there is an immense amount of programs that are being represented in this sale.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to talk about the 5 consignors that you have?
Yeah, we'll start with Bentwood first. Richard and Jeannie Phillip, they're out of Fayetteville, Texas. I bumped into Richard at the very first LWC, and he said, listen, I want to have the best. But let's make that happen. And we've fought really hard to get to that position. Early on, it was a matter of purchasing, top end genetics. And at that point, you're viewed as a buyer. But, with time and determination, the animals developed, represented Richard and Jeannie to have a incredible breeding operation with a lot of dedication to the industry. Chris Clark of Circle Double C is out of Corpus Christi. He's the same way. You're going to find a strong influence in his early years with a lot of Loomis influence and a lot of Bolin influence. A lot of these animals he's kept daughters and granddaughters of, so feeling comfortable with sharing them genetics today, but extremely excited with his young animals that he has within the program that he's retaining daughters of Jungle Jim, Kid Rock. He's got cattle bred to Midas Touch, which you'll see in this catalog today. Have an assortment of genetics from Roman 7. So a lot of excitement there. Alex Dees is from Harper, Oregon. These cattle have come a long ways, but Alex has probably got one of the best feeding programs in the entire country. She does not feed any grain, but a lot of alfalfa that's raised out there in that country. Her cattle stay in show shape year round. I would say one of my favorite things about Alex's program is the uniformity of udder attachments, perfect full bags, nice teats, and the job that these cows can do raising a calf. Again, they're in the upper desert and they do have irrigated pastures, but Alex's genetic combinations, their animals are so well balanced, extremely functional. These cattle can travel. They've got great feed on them. Keith and Marcy Hagler, they are from Taylor, Texas, so they're just up the road from the sale. That if you wanted to make arrangements, I know that they'd be happy to show you some of their livestock. At one point, they were up to about 200 cows. Currently sitting at about 50 breeding females. We've got about 50 replacement heifers coming in. When Keith kind of got going, getting pretty serious about that, we were going and buying, pretty stout genetics on what they were comfortable with spending at the time. And now we are in the third generation of retaining those genetics within his program. He's got some young females that are going to be hitting that 90 inches as 4 and 4.5 year olds. He's hitting 60-inch 2-year-olds. Again, he loves an animal with great structure, animal that can travel, good-footed, well-boned, do not tolerate any issues on attitude. That you're never going to have a problem coming out of that program. His reputation and how these animals represent him as an individual means the world. And our last consignor is Pat Hingler from 1886 Cattle Company. They are new to this ballgame. They've only been in the business for about 9-10 months at this point, but have made a immense impact in a short period with the cattle they're putting together. I would say their biggest acquisition, they had purchased the Harrell herd back in November, picking up some spectacular females. Also been buying animals private treaty and picking up some top-end animals between Legends, Horn Showcase, the Eddie Wood private treaty. Here about 2 weeks ago, we were able to pick up Silent Iron from Diamond B. So quite a powerful impact in a very short amount of time. Then he also had recently joined in on the Stellar breeding group as well. 4 of our 5 consignors are involved in the Stellar breeding group. Those bulls are PCC Midas Touch, WT Kid Rock, and BR Jungle Gym. We also have PC40 in there, and there's a collection of other sires with different owners. But as we're watching these bulls and the calves that they're putting on the ground, I'm quite excited with the uniformity that we're seeing, the color patterns, the layback to their horns, powerful rear ends, solid shoulders. They've got a lot of stretch. Are they perfect? No, but these are enhancing bulls. But that's part of any breeding program, is knowing what the strengths and weaknesses are on any animal and how to make the next generation better. Every animal is a tool to enhance the program. It's no different than a hammer in a or a toolbox. It's how you use it to make the world better. So we're quite excited about them bulls. We're very pleased that this past weekend at the Legacy sale, there was a Kid Rock daughter. She was 12 months old and she brought $28,000. So wanted to tell them congratulations, as well as Diamond B, just a solid representation there. Mark Gilliland, he had the high seller with a cut and dried daughter, which goes back to Cowboy Tough and Drag Iron. And on the bottom side, again, we find an additional shot of Cowboy Tough checks and going back to Toughette. Her full sister is WS Sunstar. We've named a lot of these animals as legends in our other event because of the impact they've given to the industry. A co-high seller was LTL, Lucky Lady. You find RC Tsunami on top, which was Concealed Weapon, Pacific Mermaid. Both of them animals I named as legends. And then you find Cowboy Casanova. We named him as a legend. And then Maxine's Millions, which is a daughter of LLL Maximilian. And he was a full brother to Showtime Mona Lisa. Named that animal as a legend. And though her mother and grandmother were total horned animals, this female sitting at 98.5 inches tip to tip. So you have to trust the genetics. You have to know what to do with them to move your own program forward. And you're going to find some of that in this heritage sale. You're going to find some females that may appear a little more total horn at this point in their career. They haven't rolled out yet, but trust those genetics. Do your homework and create your own crosses. But, in that 1 or 2 generations, you can be topping, these top end sales within the industry. But make your investments wisely and trust those genetics that they're going to follow through for you.
And now let's hear from our advertisers.
Hey, if you love From the Pasture with Hired Hand, why not go check out my podcast, The Big Iron Podcast with Andrew Shigori, where we dive into the world of registered Texas Longhorns and what it means to be an agriculture entrepreneur in the modern world, with a little southern flair, of course. Find the Big Iron Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Are you a new Longhorn breeder eager to educate yourself on market trends and sale prices? Stay in the loop with our text messages. Get the latest updates, events, and insider tips on all things Longhorns delivered straight to your phone.
Stay informed by texting website to 888-700-8131, then reply with Longhorns. That's website to 888-700-8131. Sign up today and take your breeding program to the next level.
Looking for top-quality Longhorns and a taste of true Texas spirit? Look no further than Cantera Cattle Company. Our passion for Longhorns shines at Old Gringo Ranch, where tradition meets excellence. Visit us online at CanteraCattleCompany.com and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for the latest updates and ranch life fun. Ready to experience it yourself? Schedule your visit by emailing CanteraCattle@gmail.com. Remember, God is great, Longhorns are good, and life is crazy.
So let's now dig into the details here of the heritage sale. When will all the cattle be there and staged and ready for people to view?
We are going to have hopefully all the animals in place by 1:00 on Friday. Wes Clark is helping us get everything shuffled in. But I'm hoping everything is in place by 1:00 on Friday. We do have hotels available in the catalog, Best Western in Lockhart, and there's another Hampton Inn in Kyle, Texas. The sale will start at 10:30 on that Saturday. Dan Huntington is the auctioneer. We have Chase Vasut that is doing color commentary. I want to say I've got all the updates for horn measurements, preg statuses, this sort of thing. And I'm going to compile that and be giving that to you probably Friday afternoon, Jaymie. So we can get all that updated on the hired hand bidding aspect, as well as we'll have them updated on all the websites. Yesterday, I got majority of the photos updated on the 1886 site. And we'll be doing a strong campaign over the next week on social media as well.
Nice. And I know you mentioned that Wes was helping you get the animals there. Is Wes also available for hauling after?
Yes, yes, he is. And I've spoke with him. We've had a large amount of people expressing interest in the Southeast, as well as up through the upper Midwest, over through the Ohio River Valley. So, if we are not able to help get a trailer to you immediately, I've spoke with the ranches that are selling, and if we need to help hold animals, and if we need to bring them up to Texoma here in a couple weeks, we are more than happy to do whatever we can to help you. If you do think that you're going to try to pick up 1, 2, or 3 animals, I'd like to know that in advance, just so we can have our staging game kind of ready and prepared. Wes is fantastic, and his son's going to be helping. We'll get animals wherever we can as quick as we can, but rest assured, your animals are always going to be fed, watered, and taken care of until they're delivered to your home base of operation.
And if somebody happens to have a question sale day, should they contact you?
Yes, I believe in the front of the catalog, we've got my phone number, which is 816-536-1083. Or my folks, their phone number is also listed in the front of the catalog. We're happy to answer any questions. Herdsman Legends Auctions is clerking the sale, so we'll be dealing post-sale with anybody buying on the internet. We'll take care of getting ACHs and getting everybody paid promptly thereafter and getting animals transferred into your account as quickly as we can.
Nice. Okay, so now let's shift our focus to the sale on Saturday. You said it started at 10:30 in the morning.
Yes, ma'am.
There are roughly 60-some lots, right? 64-ish?
Yep.
All right. And are there any scratches or subs?
I'm going to do 2 subs, and I'll have that to you later on today. One was for Alex D's Lot 6. She'll be out, and I'm probably going to be putting a substitution in its place from 1886. Again, I wanted to give representation to some of these seller bulls. The heifer I'm probably putting in her place is going to be a daughter of BR Jungle Jim, out of a daughter of Early Screwed, out of a Concealed Weapon daughter out of Lacey K. So super packed genetics there for that substitution. And Lot 8 is probably also going to have a substitution. She's been a dandy of a cow. We had sold a daughter off of her for $18,000, but I don't know, in the last year or two, she's probably froze her horns, and they're both starting to droop a little bit. So if someone is interested in the cow, I'm great with selling it. I just didn't want to have a negative representation for her. So I'm looking, I think, at a Warlock daughter as her replacement in the sale. So, but if somebody is interested in Lot 8, that Helms Wiz, she's been a heck of a producer. I just didn't want to have anything negative representing her.
Yeah. So this sale has 2 lots specifically that you don't usually see in sales. Lot 31 and Lot 32 are bulls. Can you talk about those?
Yes, I would love to. Lot 31, his name is the Godfather. He's a Jammin' Tex son. Jammin' Tex is a W.S. Jamaicism son out of Texana Garland gal. She was a heck of a Tejas star daughter, worked on a triple twist on one side and had a double twist on the other. I think she'd sold for $96,000 or $97,000 on 2 different occasions. She's had granddaughters and daughters sell for over $30,000. On his bottom side, his mother is RJF Snowtime, which is Cowboy Tough Checks, who needs no introduction, and 2JB Cocaine Lady, and she sold for $260,000 at a past stockyard sale. And that cow just went over 100. So this bull is not on fire in early horn development. But as you can see from the photo, he is super well balanced. He's trim, he's clean, he's long, he's got a great top line. We had semen checks done on him the other day. I don't have his scrotal wrote down, but it will be announced, and I'll give that to you for updates on hired hand. But he had a good scrotal. He has a good semen check. Wonderful disposition. Just a great calf. Again, he's not on fire on early horn development, but he's not bred to be. These genetics are meant for longevity, and the amount of twist that is going to come through is outstanding. Tim and Nicole Clark, they had a heifer. She's now a 3-year-old, and she's in her mid-80s. It's a Jammin' Tex out of Cocaine Lady. That'd be a 3/4 sister. And again, this female, her horns roll back really hard, and she's going to corkscrew. And the RJF Snowtime, this calf's mother, she's a 5-year-old, and she's in her 90s. She ought to mature out to a 100-inch cow. So a lot of power and performance. It's not just about horn. It's about that total package. If you look at his mother, you look at his sisters, the mother's sisters, there's a lot of milk in this family too, which we find is very important. Though horn is a measuring tool within this industry, it does not represent the total package. On the calf, number 32, he is let's see, he's just about a 2-year-old, and he should be right there, upper 60s, bumping 70 at 24 months. Same deal. He has a very strong, powerful semen check. We had leased this bull last summer to Cambridge Bluff Farms. His sire, RJF Texas Rebel, is a Jammin Tex and HR Awesome Reb. Awesome Reb we sold at Legends 2 years ago for $140,000. Chad and Janelle Smith own her from North Dakota. But when you see that cow profile, the stretch, the elegance and femininity, the cleanliness that you see in these Rebel daughters, fantastic udder attachments. These females are so fertile. They breed right back. Lots of milk. A lot of the daughters of Rebel HR at 45 days post-calving, on their breed back post-calving, they're getting pregnant again. A lot of cows are sitting at that 60 to 90 days, but we found even at first calf heifers, they're breeding back so fast. On the bottom side of this bull's pedigree, you find a cow Dreamin' of Texas, and she should be in her hundreds by the time she's 6. Cowboy Tough Checks over RJF Daydreamin'. Daydreamin' is a Delta Lucky Ace daughter out of Imero Cha-Ching. So again, several more animals that we've named as legends. The reason I do that is to showcase these individuals that are making a positive impact within the breed. This bull has got a lot more conditioning on him than what this photo represents. But we're offering half interest in both of these bulls, full possession for the next 18 months. If individuals are interested in partnering on them, would like to talk to them in advance, we do have partnership agreements. Just want to make sure everybody's happy and comfortable on how that's all going to work. But these are 2 young bulls that are going to make a positive impact within this breed.
Well, are you up to play a little game with us?
I would love to.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to play a little game of catalog roulette. I am going to randomly pick a few lots, and then if you could talk more about the animal or would like to talk a little bit more about the animal, that would be perfect. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm excited about it.
Okay, so let's start off with lot 2 from Circle Double C Ranch, Miss Romantic CDC.
Beautiful young female, a lot of natural stretch. She's got good bone structure. She's got nice feet. If you are flipping through the catalog or looking at Hired Hand while you're listening to this podcast, her mother sells right before her. That cow's in her mid-90s. Chase mentioned from the block the other day at the Legacy sale that unfortunately Hubble's Roman 7 had passed away within the last 30 days up there in Michigan. Pretty rough winter. But there's not going to be a lot more of these Hubble's Roman 7s available. We do have her bred to the Midas Touch Bull, who's over 100 inches. But, pretty stacked up genetics. We're going to have some line breeding of BL Rio Catch It, distantly there. But a lot of balance and a lot of power in this young female.
Okay. The next one, let's do lot 5 from Bentwood, RJF American Pie.
First calf heifer. I was talking with Ryan. He's the manager at Bentwood Ranch. This first calf heifer's got a heck of a bag. Like I mentioned, these Rebel daughters, they're just fantastic mothers. So we got Rebel on top. On the bottom side of this pedigree, we find Cowboy Tough Checks and Cherry Jubilee. Cowboy Tough is over 107 now. Cherry Jubilee, she's at like 98. This cow is 17 years old, and she weighs like 1,250, 1,300 pounds. She still looks like she's an 8-year-old. Great bag. You'd swear she's part Jersey. They're just so much milk, maternal instinct, and power. She has a bull calf at side by Midas Touch. All of the Bentwood, this is important. All of the Bentwood, actually everything in this sale has got DNA currently pulled or in the process of being pulled, and we will have DNA on file or they already completed. No other sale has ever had that done, and I consider that a privilege and an honor that these people are working so diligently to help this breed. So if if that means something to you, and I think it should, everything's going to have DNA on file or is already parent verified. And several of the ranches, we're having blue tongue tests done. The Brazilians have been buying quite a bit of livestock here in the United States. So between parent verification and the blue tongue test, we felt that was pretty unique. So that was a little side note, but again, I thought very relevant.
For sure. Okay, how about the next one is lot 11, again from Chris Clark with Circle Double C Ranch, BL5050 Bomb.
This cow, same deal. She's got a lot of stretch. She's very, very well boned, a lot of femininity and elegance. You can see that beautiful Texas twist in her skull structure, which she passes on. 50-50, he's produced, and he may be the leading sire of 100-inch daughters. There's some others that are right there on his heels, but this female's had some sisters that have sold for $150,000 to $200,000+. On the bottom side, the BL Pretty Bomber, you're going to go back to Brown Bomber, who was straight Butler, and then BL Fina Hoya. Fina Hoya was a phenomenon daughter out of Buena Hoya. Buena Hoya went on to produce Cowboy Chex' grandmother, then giving us also Cowboy Tough Chex. So a lot of depth of pedigree here. She has, I don't have it down, but I know that the cow had a calf at side, and then would be exposed back to the PCC Midas Touch. But again, a female that she is 2015, but she's not showing her age at all. And this cow's got a lot of miles left on the tires. A person can take it home and let her naturally have babies one at a time. But there could be embryo transfer work done on a female like that as well.
Okay, the next one, let's do lot 18, Tempting Life CDC.
Okay. This young gal is putting on an insane amount of horn. She was 70.5 inches tip to tip at 32 months of age. Her horns are just starting to roll out. On the top side, you're going to find Rowdy HR. Rowdy, let's see, it was Rowdy, Big Red, Slams Rose, and Rosebud. Those were all flush mates. And they've each had incredible careers all by themselves. They produced big horn, big bodied offspring. On Slams Rose, she's also the mother to Rebel, which is one of the bulls that we do feature throughout this entire sale. But a lot of longevity, and the grandmother being LLL Rosemary, she line breeds extremely well. And when you reflect back on cows like HR Rosette, sold for $700,000, you're going to find that she's double bred LLL Rosemary. And Dean Whitlock, he has a cow, MN Rebel Zoe, double bred Rosemary, and she's 107 inches tip to tip with amazing paint job. So that's kind of the top side of your pedigree. On the bottom side, we find Rio Grande. That bull made a huge impact in his day, and through generational descendants is still carrying on a positive influence today. The mom Rio Tempted, right at 90 inches tip to tip, maybe a smidge better. And then Tempt You, that cow is like a 1997 model, and she is still calving every year for Chris, even though she's getting on in years. The fertility and longevity of that family is incredible.
Let's move on, and we'll go to lot 21 from Bentwood Ranch, RJF Exceptional 308.
Pretty exciting young female here. One of the bulls I talked about earlier today was also out of that RJF Texas Rebel, Jammin' Tex, and HR Awesome Reb. That Awesome Red cow, again, I go back to the elegance, the twist, the fertility, the femininity, the udder attachment. She also had a daughter that sold at Legends 2 years ago for $42,000 with Cowboy Tough Chex. And on the bottom side, there's Cowboy Tough Chex again. And then we find Awesome Trixie, and that cow had sold at the legacy sale to Colt Copper for $165,000. She's in her hundreds tip to tip. So a power stacked pedigree. I want to say this heifer was going to be in that mid 50-ish range at 24 months. But that doesn't scare me by any means, that a heifer, oh, she's not 60 at 2, the world's going to end. If you look at powerful cows like the Dio Miss Grand, she was 55 inches at 24 months. She still made a 90-inch cow. And you look at the impact that female has done. Richard and Jeannie had bought a daughter of hers from Helms at the stockyard sale last year for $165,000. So just because they aren't killing it on a 24-month measurement, again, we're going back to trust those genetics and know your growth patterns on these families. A lot of the Jamaicism-based stuff, the Tejas Star-based stuff, they're a little bit slower getting started, but they never quit. And we're finding a lot of that, the extreme amount of twist in the Awesome Trixie line. It just takes a little bit more patience, but they don't quit. We've got daughters in the Bentwood program that are going to make 90 inches as 5-year-olds, but they're right there with their mother at the same age. And, they're going to mature into 100-inch cows too, but just be patient. But this heifer is going to have a very bright future in front of her.
Okay, you mentioned Cowboy Tough Checks. Let's talk about one of his daughters, about 24, J.H. Safari Tough.
J.H. Safari Tough, Bob Loomis was the breeder of her. That's where the combination of Cowboy Tough over the Night Safari came into play. But you'll see J.H. on the front of her name instead of the BL. She was calved out in California at Justin Hansen's place in the mountains in Northern California. She's a big frame cow. Night Safari, between daughters, granddaughters, great-granddaughters. She had granddaughters this past weekend that had sold for $28,000 and $30,000. And that's just not a one and done. I mean, it's one of the most iconic, well-known names within this industry. Her daughter also sells right behind her at lot 25. Chris has done a little bit of embryo work on her out there with Bob Larson. So we said we would announce breeding at sale time. By the time it was getting done and the weather being kind of funky out in Oregon and getting her hauled back to Texas, we just were not even comfortable attempting to get her AI'd that we would be able to announce comfortably that we would have a pregnancy or it'd be too close to call. So we decided to leave the cow open. We 100% guarantee her as a breeder. But, the person will be able to breed the bull of their choice. The last IVF we did on her, I think, was in early February. So she'll have basically 2-month break if they wanted to do an IVF or two before they bred her back, say in May or June. And that would not be a problem. But we guarantee the cow to be a breeder, but we are leaving her open to breed the bull of your choice.
And you mentioned the JH initials in some animals' names. So let's talk about a daughter of J.H. Royally Screwed, lot 33, B.R. Redneck Jenny from 1886.
Yes. Redneck Jenny, that would be a full sister to Crackerjack. Crackerjack, Brian Brett bred female here. The bull, I think, is currently owned by Loomis and Torkelson's at Bull Creek. She's got a heifer calf at side from the Rifleman. Rifleman is a son of RHF Sharpshooter. That bull's got offspring like Sweet Maxie EOT that's owned by Colt Copper. That cow's like 114, 115 inches tip to tip. Jungle Jim sire, Houdini, that was sired by Sharpshooter. So, and then the Rifleman's mother was the legendary LLL Rosemary. So that would give a person the opportunity to do some line breeding down the road, which I would recommend with that calf. Hitting her with a Jungle Gym or hitting her with a Rebel to give you that line breeding. But Rurally Screwed over Jam and Jenny. Rurally Screwed goes back to the Lady Monica cow. I think the world of that female. Powerful Butler genetics. Just one hell of a VJ Tommy daughter. And then Redneck Jenny's mother is Jam and Jenny. She's just under 100 inches, huge frame cow. If you look at lot 34 is her daughter. That is a terrible photo, but if you follow that QR code link in the catalog or click through on Hired Hand, I did update her photo yesterday. Her daughter is very elegant and trim, and she's sired by the 100-inch tip-to-tip Warlock.
And while we're talking about 1886 consignments, let's move on to another one of his, which is lot 38, HR Nutella.
Beautiful brindle female, moderately framed, very elegant and trim. You can see how clean she is. She has a huge heifer calf at side, sired by Ironman HR. The Landises up in Jamesport, Missouri, they own that bull with the Harrow Ranch. And he just went over 90 inches tip to tip, like I said. He's a Pacific Cowboy 40 son out of a daughter, a drag iron, out of Rebel's full sister. The Jam and Rebel combination, if you look at the front of the catalog, you'll see a cow called Jam and Rosie. That's a Jam and daughter out of a Rebel daughter, which happens to be Rosette. But she's 108 inches, and she's a 5.5-year-old. Beautiful bags, very trim and clean. A lot of stretch and elegance. This heifer calf that she's got on her side, I'm telling you what, that calf is money. I should have all the vet results back. They blood tested everything for pregnancy, but I would see no reason why she would not be bred back to Jungle Gym for a 3-1. But that is a very powerful offering.
The next one we'll do is we'll stop at lot 40. Currently she's the most viewed animal so far. Hubbell's Rihanna Van Horn from Circle Double C.
Yep. Beautiful cow. She would be a full sister to a cow called Shamrock My World. She's got some other full sisters who are solid black as well. The mother, Texana Van Horn, was a full sister to Teja Star. To give a little back history on that family, this cow's also the mother to Hubbell's Butch Cassidy. It's hard to go into enough detail that represents the impact that cows like her and her sisters, her mother, have given to this industry. And I know that JP Rio Grande, he's been gone for several years, but the power that sire influences breed with is almost second to none. Without JP Rio Grande, there would be no BL Rio Catch It. There would be no Cowboy Tough Checks. That completely changes the breed. So knowing females like this, being able to take them home and do embryo transfer to give you that next generation. Again, go back to the legacy sale this past weekend, selling embryo pregnancies for $6,500 to $12,000, selling calves at side of a recip for $22,000. One calf, and this cow is paid for. There's no way other to say that this is just an easy layup moneymaker. And her daughter at 41 is right underneath of her. It's like a carbon copy of mom.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Do you sometimes feel like you're the only one who doesn't have it all figured out? Rural life can be isolating, but it doesn't have to be.
Welcome to Ag's Most Okayest Farm Girls, the podcast for women who are craving connection, laughter, solidarity, camaraderie, and just overall encouragement in your everyday life and dreams.
Each week, your hosts, Annalise, that's me, and Courtney will cover topics such as farm life, mom life, making money online, side hustles, hobbies, sharing on social media, jobs off the farm, and so much more.
Us rural gals need to stick together, so saddle up for some fun, real, and unsolicited advice and stories from our everyday farm lives.
Grab a drink. We're Ag's Most Okayest Farm Girls, and we're here to help. Listen wherever you find podcasts.
Planning a live auction and want to reach more buyers? Hired Hand Live brings the power of the internet to your event, allowing bidders from anywhere to participate in real time. We specialize in integrating online bidding seamlessly with your live auction, ensuring that no one misses out.
Your livestock plus our technical expertise equals one successful auction. Let Hired Hand Live help you expand your reach and maximize your results. Visit hiredhandlive.com to learn more.
From the Pasture by Hired Hand is presented by R3 Hilltop Ranch. Located in Chilton, Texas, R3 Hilltop Ranch has been breeding registered Texas Longhorns since 2006. What began as 3 heifers has grown into our current herd, which you can explore on our website at r3hilltop.com. We're passionate about loud colors, longhorns, and docile temperaments, but it's the easy-keeping, low-maintenance traits of Texas Longhorns that initially attracted us and continue to drive our herd growth. In addition to livestock, we proudly offer certified Longhorn beef products. Visit r3hilltop.com/beef to learn more. Thank you for listening and enjoy exploring our ranch online at r3hilltop.com.
Imagine updating your website and managing your animals at the same time without needing tech experience. With Hired Hand software, it's that easy. Our user-friendly platform is designed specifically for breeders, allowing you to keep your site fresh and your animal records up to date in just a few clicks.
Let us simplify your digital chores while you focus on what you do best. Visit hiredhandsoftware.com and see just how easy it can be.
All right, let's go next to lot 46, Romantic Cat CDC from Chris Clark.
Again, I'll have updated measurements on her tomorrow. She is going to be just right as a 2-year-old at sale time. Off my last projection, she was going to be in that 62 to 64 inches at 24 months. Incredible horn set. Hubbell's Roman 007. You're going to find Hubbell's 20 gauge. You're going to find, if memory serves correctly, Cowboy Catch-It checks. You're also going to go back to Tari Graves, Circle K Donovan. There's a lot of substance and old school back in there. If you wanted to add size back in the day, you did it through Circle K Donovan. Just there's a lot of power, and of course, Tari Graves is a household name. On the bottom side, her mom is Ringtail Cat. That name may sound familiar because she's also the mother to LTL. She's an outside cat that sold for $365,000 at the stockyard sale a few years ago. Tim and Nicole Clark had bought her, and now she is currently owned by Scott and Amy Picker out in Oregon. She's 105, 106 inches, and she had lost about 2 inches off of one side. So she's in very good company with what her mother has done. Chris has got a 2-year-old full sister. And then I think there's a few other embryo calves on the way that would be full siblings, but those others are not going to be available for sale. Embryo transfer we utilize as a tool that we're building a program from within. It's not just a marketing option. We're not trying to devalue genetics, but we're trying to build up the program from within that carries the brand and gives you that consistency to move the program forward.
How about the next lot? Let's do 48. RJF Casanova Rosebud.
Beautiful female. She should be calving any day. Again, I grabbed a photo of her here about a week or two ago. This cow's got such a depth of body. Her sire, Cowboy Casanova, we syndicated him back in the day for a little over $100,000. Then we sold the bull for over $100,000. Going back to Smoky Roan, you're going to find some line bred Hunts Command Respect and a lot of twist. On the bottom side, her mom, HR Rosebud, she's over 90 inches tip to tip. Again, full sister to Slams Rose, mother to Rebel, full sister to Rowdy HR. Double did incredible for Dale Hunt. Full brother to Big Red. I know that Austin Rohr and Chris had owned that bull at one point. Then he went back east to a gentleman that used to be a race car driver, and then he went to owning a race car team. Unfortunately, he had hurt his back and had to be put down. But again, those 4 animals are a product of embryo transfer, and the genetic impact they made, again, forever changed this industry. It wasn't a matter of diluting genetics, but enhancing the breed. On the HR Rosebud, I want to say this was probably about 2 years ago. Dean Whitlock and Robert Vanderford, they had sold a heifer calf off of Jungle Gym with Rosebud, sold for $19,000. And then there was a Rebel daughter, I believe it was, that sold out a Rosebud that sold for $32,000. And this family is second to none, and she should be dropping calf any day to Rebel, which will give you that incredible line ring I'm telling you about. But she's an 80-inch cow. Some people may not see that as the most exciting thing in the world, but Pat is retaining, I want to say, 2 or 3 daughters of this cow with Rebel in his herd. And if they may be for sale, but it's not going to be cheap. This cow is worth taking home and, letting her have some more natural calves or doing some embryo work on her.
Okay, so let's go from Texas. We'll go out to Oregon with CR Longhorns, lot 50. CR Touch the Sky.
I am super jazzed about this heifer. First natural calf that will grace the sale ring, sired by the Midas Touch Bull. Midas, to look at him, he's a yellow bull, but it also carries a wild gene. When I was out in Oregon at Alex's place back in the fall, the calves at side by Midas, they were enormous. I mean, they would make a commercial cow guy's jaw drop. They were tall, they were thick. The young bull calves at side, I mean, they had outstanding scrotal circumference as 6 and 7 month olds getting ready to wean. Horns folded back almost on everything. There were cream brindles, there were brindles, there were blacks. The bull carries a wild gene. He can do anything and everything. So I could not be more pleased with the early calf crop we're seeing from Midas, and this would be your first opportunity. Her horns are offset just a little bit. I want to say, I think Alex told me that she bumped her horn shortly after weaning, and it did change horn direction. She does not feel that is a genetic situation, but due to an injury. But this heifer, her horns are on fire. She's going to be well into her 60s, maybe even better as a 24-month-old. But she's nice, she's tall, she's clean, she's deep. She's got a lot of springer rib. On her bottom side, you're going to go find Pacific Cowboy 40. He's 100 inches. He's got a 100-inch son in R&L Frederick. He is Cowboy Upchecks, which is Tufts' full brother out of RC Pacific Mermaid. And then that single Blossom cow, her mom goes back to a mid-90s daughter of Top Caliber with a triple twist. There is generational depth within this heifer that I think has an incredible future.
All right, next, let's talk about a 3S Danica granddaughter, lot 51, LM 100 Cherries.
There is so much twist bred into this cow. She's got a lot of daylight underneath of her. She's really tall. If you study her facial features, you're going to see so much length between her eyes and the tip of her nose, which as a whole is getting to be a little bit more lost. You're going to see her ears are a little bit longer. And some people go, oh, it's not as refined, or a futurity judge might not like it. But what her face is telling me is the amount of twist that she herself is going to possess and how she's going to pass that on to her offspring. You can see she's clean as a whistle underneath. She's clean in her brisket and her throat latch. Danica, everybody knows Danica. She needs no introduction. Her daughter, Danny, sold for $110,000. Her granddaughter sold for $56,000. She's had sons that are generating $100,000 private treaty and partnerships. One of the most coveted families in the market today. On the bottom side, that Casanova Magnum, he's got 2 or 3 daughters that are right at 100 inches. He was bred by Todd McKnight out of Kansas. We're going to find Cowboy Casanova, again, out of a JP Rio Grande daughter. And then Allen's Top Cherry, 345. That cow's over 98 inches tip to tip, triple twist. She's another embryo transfer calf bred by John and Ursula Allen. She's got 2 sisters that are also in their mid to upper 90s, and a 3/4 sister that's owned by Glendenning Farms that's in the 90s. There's so much depth and power within this. Chris is retaining a heifer calf from this female, and we've got her bred back to PCC Midas Touch. Pretty exciting young cow.
All right, and the last one we'll stop on is lot 53 from Hagler Ranch, HLR, Oh My Darling.
Again, I go back to I'm so excited with the job that Keith is doing, and when he puts an animal in the sale, and then the same can be said for the heifer, right below her. They're both daughters of WS Elevation. The balance, the uniformity, the consistency, the femininity, it's all there. The chill disposition is right there. The heifer, Oh My Darling, it does say in the catalog that she was exposed. That's a typo. That's my fault. She was not. So the heifer will be open. She has not been exposed. People can breed her to the bull of their choice on their schedule. Elevation is a half brother to Pacific Cowboy 40. They're both out of Cowboy Upchecks. On the bottom side, you find WS Sunstar, which is Tejas Star. Sunstar produced WS Vindicator. On the bottom of that, you're going to see LC Rio Texa, which is Archer Texa. Archer was a Jamaican son of Texana Van Horn, giving you some line breeding between Tejas Star and Texana Van Horn. They are full siblings. And that BO Rio Darlin, the Bolins and Jaymie had done really well utilizing her late in her career. Huge horn cow, a lot of frame, twist. They have a bull out of her that is mid-90s, and the calves that he's putting on the ground are quite phenomenal. Again, a heifer that's really deep. Her great-grandmother, Loomis, bought at a past Macomb sale for like $36,000. So she's projecting to be in her 60s. She's got all the other traits. Again, we're talking about so much depth of pedigree. I know pedigree doesn't make a cow, but the pedigree tells you the genetics she comes from and how to make that animal better, or it tells you what you can do for line breeding to enhance those characteristics. I'm just so pleased with the genetic lineup of this sale. Like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, there's some animals in this sale that are a little bit higher horned, but if you see them in person or you study additional photos, you'll see that the tips are rolling out, and you're going to find some of that higher handlebar twist, which is still a sign of a twist characteristic. You're going to see color, you're going to see brindle. They're bred to outstanding bulls. I can see animals throughout this entire sale that'll be changing our breed for generations to come.
Okay, well, that wraps up Saturday. Now that we've played the catalog roulette, so on Sunday, what time do all the animals need to be out?
Our goal would be to have everything out at the absolute latest by 10 or noon. I would prefer them to be out by 10 because we're going to be done with the sale probably by 1:30. We can get some animals shuffled back to Wes's place for holding as well, if need be, or Pat's or Keith's or Richard's. We're happy to do our part to get animals for you to Texoma, through Wes's assistance. I personally will have a trailer down there, and I've got people throughout Oklahoma, Kansas, and even further north that were inquiring about buying animals, and I will get critters as comfortably as I can on the trailer. I'm not going to pack them in like sardines, but the animal safety is our utmost importance.
So Justin, I have one more thing I want to do with you if you're up for it.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a little thing called the Fast Five. And I'm going to say a characteristic about an animal. And if you could pick an animal in the sale that we haven't already talked about. Are you willing?
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay. How about a black and white animal?
Keith Hagler's. He's got an older cow. She was early in the sale. I am Bomber Queen. Bomber checks out a Queen duplicator. She goes back to Casey Maxie Queen. That cow, Crafts had paid $25,000 or $30,000. This was 10 or 12 years ago, but huge horn genetics for her day. But she has produced some solid black calves. She's produced some creamy dun brindles. She carries a wild gene, but she can give you true blacks as well.
Okay, the next one is Twist.
I'll go with Alex D's 13 CR Cinnamon Mist. She's a daughter of Gold Rain. That was a bull that was bred by Tucker Hilbert while he was in the business. You're going to go find some old school Owen McGill with Nifty 50. He went back to that vanilla milkshake cow. The vanilla green sizzle, that was a drag iron cow that weighed like 1,200 pounds with a lot of twist. It's generationally bred into her.
Okay, how about a red and white?
27. RJF Miscongeniality. Beautiful paint job, red and white. Jamantek's daughter out of a Big Red daughter out of a Cowboy Tough Check's daughter out of Allen's Dark Cherry. When you see her bull calf at side by WT Kid Rock, this calf screams future fraternity champion. He is a walking meat wagon. Again, the female herself carries generational depth of power. Beautiful bag. Her mom was the same way. Her mom also crossed with Rebel, has got a heifer that Austin Lovelace has got that ought to be around 60 inches at 2. So that's a pretty fun animal we didn't talk about earlier.
Okay. The next one is Brindle.
I'm going to do lot 30. Oceana, a concealed weapon daughter out of RC Pacific Mermaid. Her full sister, the Helms have, and I think she's going to the stockyard sale. She's over 100 inches tip to tip. Full sister to Tsunami that just had a daughter of his sell for $55,000 at the legacy sale. Pacific Mermaid, she's got the Mermaid cow that Helms have. She's got PC40 that Stellar has. And then Diamond B has RM Texas Mermaid. All those are over 100 inches. And, concealed weapon needs no introduction. Josh Dinwiddie put out a post a while back that CW, I want to say between daughters and granddaughters, it was like $2 million or $2.5 million in offspring sales directly. And that was over the last 5 years. So even though this cow is getting some age, and even though her horn froze when she was a calf, the genetic potential she's got is second to none.
Okay, and the last one is True Black.
We did True Black on the first one, but I've got another True Black in the sale, and that is lot 20, CR Nightfall. Her sire is right at 90 inches tip to tip. He goes back to a bull called Damascus, who goes back to Saddlehorn and then Top Caliber. You're also going to see Bodacious Becca. She's owned by Wayne Manning and Hudson Longhorns. She's right at 90 inches. She's a tough daughter out of JB and Miss Becca, who's also the mother to JB and Miss Becca 2. That cow's 97 inches tip to tip. You're going to see Rowdy on the bottom side and CR Top Chiktari. Again, another shot of Top Caliber. So another beautiful young heifer, true black and white, and stout genetics.
Well, is there any animal that we have not talked about that you would like to talk about? Or are you all cow drunk and ready to be done?
I don't think I'm allowed to get cow drunk.
That's fair. That's fair.
Lot 37, another daughter to Jamantek's. And then below that, you're going to see JVR Net Worth, which goes back to Eternal Diamond. The mother sold for $35,000 at a past legend sale. She's 97 inches tip to tip, I want to say. Out of the 100-inch Helms TC Laura Mercy, which is a Top Caliber Wiregrass Laura. A little bit higher horns, but you can see the tips are starting to roll. So I think she's pretty exciting. 39 of Alex D's. You're going to see line bred Jamaicism. Look at the cow's natural substance and ability. The great Springer rib, just the phenomenal condition that Alex keeps her animals in year round. She goes back to Jester, and she will have a Kid Rock calf at side probably by sale day. Lot 44, her mom is now over 100 inches tip to tip. She's a rebel daughter. Horns are going up, but they'll roll out and come back down. There's tons of maternal power. I mean, every single one of these cows in the sale, I could talk about for 30 minutes because it's generational wealth that these animals are brought to the table. The heifer calf that's on the side of lot 49, she's just a cow to look at her. She's big, she's thick, she's upper 70s tip to tip, but she's produced a 90-inch son with Rebel. She's got a heifer calf at, let's see, she's got a heifer calf at side, I want to say by Rebel HR, and she'd be bred back to Kid Rock. Her mother, Hubble's Rio Linda, sold for like $43,000 at a past legacy sale. And then her daughter with Rebel sold at Stockyards 2 years ago for $25,000. So again, even though a cow's only 78 inches tip to tip, she can produce 90-inch horned offspring. But again, this is one of those females. I bet she weighs 1,200 plus pounds and raises just a constant, fantastic calf year in, year out. But I mean, again, I can go into great detail. Lot 56, she's a little more coarse in type. Her mother, she's over 90 inches tip to tip. The heifer calf that she's got on her side by Kid Rock is fantastic, and her horns fold back really nicely. But you're talking about several individuals in that pedigree that are over 100 inches, but a lot of capacity. Like I say, she herself is a little bit more raw, but she gave everything she had to that calf, and she did an amazing job as a first-time mom. Lot 60, she's her granddaughter Real's Royalty. That cow sold for over $25,000, is owned by Glendenning Farms out of the $150,000 Royal Reputation. On the bottom side, her mom is a 90-inch tip cow, going back to Lukenbach, Texas, which is Rio and Texana Van Horn. And she has a heifer calf at side by Rebel. Again, if you go to the website, I've got an updated photo. You can see her udder attachment. Very trim, clean heifer with a lot of genetic diversity, different from what a lot of other folks are using today. But I do appreciate the phone call and let me talk about the cows and these programs and the excitement that I hold for this industry. There was a lot of fantastic energy this past weekend up there at the legacy sale, the camaraderie, the willingness to work together as an industry and move this breed forward. I couldn't be happier.
Well, thanks so much for joining us and giving us a wealth of knowledge about all the animals that are in the sale. For those listening, make sure to check out the Heritage Sale consignments ahead of the sale date and follow us for more updates. Until next time.